Raleigh!
Hi, Chancellor Woodson.
It's my first student body president, all the way from Montana.
Yay!
You got your lapel pin on, so you're
Yeah.
not going to steal that from me.
Yeah, but I did hear this is a tradition that you didn't have when I was a student.
I'm
How are
sorry.
your pockets not always jingling?
Because I only have one. That's the tradition. I don't have any in my pocket.
So it's the first person to ask in the day.
Well, it's okay. So here's technically what happens.
Hi, Wolfpack Nation. I'm Kelly Hook, student body president from 2010-2011, first one for Chancellor Woodson, and welcome to Red Chair Chats.
Well, Kelly, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you also. Are you excited to be interviewed, or does it feel a little weird being in that chair?
It feels very weird.
Yeah.
And particularly because, it's been a while. No telling what you're going to ask me, but I'm ready.
You're
I'm
ready.
I'm
You're always ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember in 2011 when I first met you.
Yes.
You had this kind of like uncanny ability to connect with people very quickly, and I, as a nervous student, I remember feeling like immediately like, oh, we're gonna be okay. He's very chill and calm and
Chill.
cool.
That's what the young people say.
Yeah, we still say chill, or I don't know what this generation's saying. That was like 15 years ago, but yeah. But what brought you to NC State, like back in those days? Why choose this place?
Yeah, I think I flew here, but that's not what you mean. What brought me here was the people of NC State. I mean, the more I talked to the board, the more I learned about NC State. And look, this is a university I knew a lot about because I'm a plant scientist and some of the best in the world are here. So I'd been here before, I knew faculty here. But the more people talked to me about where NC State was at the time and their aspirations for the future. And what really brought me here was meeting the search committee and the trustees, and everybody was so passionate about NC State. And also, a big part of what brought me here was the fact that this is in a really dynamic region of the country. And Raleigh is growing, and the Research Triangle Park and Centennial Campus, and I just wanted to be a part of all of this.
Oh, I love that. But I want to touch on something you said at first, which is something we don't talk nearly enough about, which is the fact that you're like a molecular biologist, like plant physiology, PhD.
You nailed it.
Yeah, okay. How are NC State students like plants?
How are NC State?
Because plant physiology, it's like the structure.
I can nail it.
Okay,
I
sweet.
can nail it. Well, they're strong.
Ooh.
They're resilient. They manage seasons very well.
They're deciduous?
Some.
Wait, evergreen?
Either. NC State student can be evergreen or deciduous.
Love that.
Depends on how they feel about the particular weather. But no, NC State students are, here's what I love about plants, and I love about NC State students. Plants, because they don't have the ability to move, they have to stand strong and face whatever is thrown at them.
Yeah.
And a lot of NC State students remind me of plants. I didn't know about this question, but I think that's a pretty good answer. But
in all humility.
All humility. That's one of the things me. I'm very humble.
And you are humble.
No, but NC State students are strong and resilient.
Yeah.
They adapt to the climate.
Very true. This makes me just think about like how many students were here when I was here versus now. And I think if these numbers are accurate, it was roughly 35,000 when you joined. I think we're roughly 38,000 now. And maybe 3,000 doesn't seem like so much in a good way. It means we're prioritizing the right things. But it makes me think about like my own hometown in Waxhaw, North Carolina. I mean, it saw the growth of 3,000 people over the course of like 20 years from 1989 to early 2000s.
Well, Waxhaw, North Carolina, that's a home of a lot of good musicians.
Oh, well, you would know.
There's a music hall in Waxhaw that...
Is there?
Yes.
Oh,
you
I'm a
need
horrible...
To come home.
I go home all the time and did not know about this music hall. Talk to my parents.
We are growing slightly now.
Yeah.
For the first 10 years or so of my time here, we really focused on student success and making sure that we had the resources to help students succeed. So we were intentional about not growing dramatically, even though we've had dramatic growth in demand. I mean, that first year I was here, I think we had 14,000 applicants. This year we had 45,000.
Whoa.
So the demand for NC State has never been greater. And so we're growing a bit, really for workforce reasons. So yeah, it's a big place.
Yeah.
But I tell all the students and their families, our goal, we're in the Student Engagement Center here, and this is one example of many things we do to try to help students find their community and find their people. Because building a community is one of the most important things to student success.
Well, as it's grown, what are some of the biggest things that you've seen change? Just talk about some of the changes you've seen over the last 15 years, but also like what it means to continue being a land grant into the future.
Well, what hasn't changed is our commitment to the people of North Carolina. So, and that's the land grant traditions.
Yeah.
We have offices all across the state, in every county, and the Cherokee Nation. So we're still out in the state doing incredibly important work for all North Carolinians. I'd say the thing that has changed the most that I've noticed is the infrastructure of campus has really dramatically changed.
The construction,
Yeah,
you're noticing.
the new buildings, and the people that take care of this campus facilities do such an amazing job. It's a beautiful campus, and it's well maintained. Even though right now our students are, going through a lot of growing pains because we have a lot of construction on campus, I keep telling them it's going to be amazing.
So Think and Do, obviously NC State's incredible campaign. And you did the Think and Do Extraordinary campaign, which hit like over $2 billion, incredible.
Well, I didn't do it.
Under your tenure.
Yes.
Yes. But go back to like how Think and Do came to be, because I feel like you brought it to the university.
Well, no, a group of us were sitting around a conference table getting ready for, and we were talking about branding and we were getting ready for the campaign, and Brad Bolander, who had been here as the Chief Communication Officer, we were talking about, NC State is a place that wants to get things done. Sure, we're a scholarly university. We have some of the best scientists and engineers and scholars in their field at NC State. But for us, we don't feel like we're complete unless something happens, unless a product is made or something is commercialized or built. And so we started playing around with the word think tank, which is a lot of people talk about think tanks as being scholarly places but all they do is they write papers and they try to influence people to do something. They're not doing things themselves. So we said we wanted to be a think and do tank. And then it became Think and Do. And it's so ingrained now as we've done more market and media kind of surveys of our alumni. One thing that keeps coming back is don't ever get rid of that tagline, because it is so reflective of a land-grant university trying to make things happen.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. When I was a student, I connected to that campaign a lot as a CHAS major because, I felt like, even though we weren't all in the technical sciences, it applied everywhere. Talk to me about just how you go about connecting with students from different walks of life and whether they're an arts major or an engineering major and kind of understanding what's important to them.
Well, I love the fact that as a university that has so many different disciplines, we don't actually teach the visual and performing arts in the form of granting majors, but we teach the subjects. And so students can minor in the arts, they can participate in the arts. And that's one of the, as you know, my wife is an artist, and so we've always been supportive of the arts and supportive of everything our students do. And I'd love to go to every event. And I could almost every night of the week have 2 or 3. There's a an exhibition women's basketball game tonight, and
Nice.
there's things all the time. But I love the diversity of experiences that our students have. So we love to go to the theater. We love to hear our music groups perform. And then I love them to introduce themselves and to hear what they're studying, because you'll have a musical ensemble that's everything from applied mathematics to humanities and social sciences.
Right.
But none of them are voice majors,
Oh,
because we don't
we don't.
allow,
What?
we don't teach voice
Yet.
as a major.
Okay, favorite of all the interactions with students, do you have anything that just pops into your mind right now of like interesting standout interaction with a student on the Brickyard? Any student over the last like 10 years?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have many,
Yeah.
and I just
Just
had
which one
one
comes to mind
actually
just now?
coming up. What's that?
Just the first one that comes to mind.
I just had an interaction with a student that's my favorite because it was my most recent, until interacting with you. You're no longer a student. Coming up the stairs, and a student grabbed me and said he's 34 years old and just came back to get his doctorate degree because his professor and I have inspired him to go on and get a PhD and go into the academy. So that's a pretty cool
Whoa.
interaction.
That's very cool interaction.
Yeah.
This just reminds me, and your lapel pin staring at me as well. Tell us about the tradition of your lapel pin students.
You know, I really don't know where it started, but it seems to have taken hold. So the tradition now is that students come up to me and tell me they like my lapel pin, and
They all know the same question to ask.
they do.
Okay,
Some
interesting.
get nervous.
Uh-huh.
And say, "Oh gosh, lapel pin, can I have it?" And I said, "No, that's not the question. But I like your lapel pin," and then I'm obligated to give it. But it started because this lapel pin you're wearing and the one I'm wearing was the logo for our Think and Do the Extraordinary campaign.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
The tradition began with us giving it to people when they made a gift to the university. So when students would tell me that they liked my lapel pin, I would give it to them and tell them what paying it forward meant for the future.
Oh.
And tell them that, I didn't expect them to be a contributor to the university immediately, but at some point in the future, I hope they would. And then it went from there to students just wanting my lapel pin.
That's a Chancellor Woodson worn
I've
pin.
given away, well, just today, 3. And I don't walk around, we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
I don't walk around with a pocket full of them. In fact, I had to hide this one today so I would have it for this interview, because I can't walk across campus with and still have my lapel pin.
Oh no! But again, I don't understand how your pockets aren't. You only carry one. Okay, and then you go back to your office.
Yeah, I go
you
back to
get
my
another
office and I put on another one, and then if I go out again, there you go.
How do you, after 15 years, show up to talks and speeches? How do you prep your talking points? Like, how do you kind of connect with the audience so well these days?
You could tell she was a Chaz major, right? Spent a lot of time in this business. These guys that are behind the camera that follow me all over the place will quickly tell you that I'm not particularly good at following a script. So what I do, I have a great team that tells me where I'm going, who the audience is, what they care about, and always it's NC State, but it's different areas of the university. And then I try to hit all of those points. But the rest of it, who knows where Randy's going to go.
Which I think is something we have all come to find very endearing about you, is that you bring a lighthearted sense of humor to serious topics.
I try.
In a way that balances it for all of us. And that's something I always remember about you when I was a student and have thought about actually in my own career journey in life. So I'd just be curious if you feel like there is a way you can systematize it a little in an advice capacity. It's like, how do you keep that lightheartedness no matter if we're talking about Pell Grants and serious stuff and,
Pell
you know?
I've always enjoyed humor. I may use it too much. But it's the way I was raised, and I find that if you can find humor in daily life, it makes the day go a little better.
Agreed.
And I've had a lot of humorous things happen as chancellor.
What would you like to share?
Oh, I got one in particular that I'm really dying to share. There's so many, but you know, we used to live in the old residence.
You mean the one on Hillsborough Street?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And early in my tenure, we were hosting a dinner party for Governor Hunt and a number of other dignitaries of the day. And we had 2 dogs. We still have 2 dogs, but they're different dogs.
Oh.
And one of them brought in a possum right before the guests were to arrive.
Wait, did the possum get killed on
Plopped
Hillsborough
the
Street?
possum right
No, a live
down in
one.
the middle of the foyer where all the guests were going to come across. And the possum, I thought, was dead. So
Just playing possum.
It was playing possum. How'd you know? Yeah, and so Susan extracted the dogs from the environment. I went to get the necessary utensils to remove the possum, which I thought a long pair of, you know, tongs from my grill would be appropriate.
Is this in front of the governor?
No, they weren't there yet.
They weren't there yet, okay.
But, and when I went back, the possum was gone.
Uh-oh.
And the possum had escaped. And then when I went to the front door to welcome Governor Hunt, I saw the possum walking across the front yard, dragging his or her hind leg.
Oh,
It
no.
clearly
The dog
had been injured
yeah.
by Mr. Beasley. But that was, I thought, wow, what a great welcome to the university.
Gosh. Do
Mr.
you
Beasley also had a tendency to run across the street to Players Retreat and beg for French fries.
Smart dog. What's your one piece of advice for the incoming chancellor to succeed with students at NC State?
You know, I wouldn't presume to give advice to the next chancellor. I will say, if you come from outside the university, and frankly, most chancellors have. I mean, in our history, I think there's been 2 alumni that have been chancellors out of the 14.
Whoa.
Larry Monteith and Colonel Harrelson. So I think the most important thing is to learn the culture, because we do have a culture, and it's a wonderful culture. It's a very people-centered culture where people that work here love the place, and you need to learn the history. You really do need to embody the history of the university, because people expect you to. So you need to know the origins of NC State, how we came to be, and what our aspirations were, how they've changed over time. And, you know, it's very important to understand the history of the place so that you can take it forward.
As with all things in life, we hope we learn from our history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know I speak for all of the alumni and students when I say that you have been an incredible chancellor, and we're just so excited to continue knowing you over time, and thank you for everything you've done for the university and where you've taken it. And I feel like I hear about NC State on the West Coast all the time, not just because I went there, and I feel it's in large part due to your leadership and putting us on the map in a really big way.
Well,
so thank you
Thank
for
you,
that.
Kelly. You were a great start to my career here.
Thank you.
I have been very fortunate to have phenomenal student body presidents, and I'm very proud of you too.
Thank you. Aw.
All right.
All right.
Go Pack.
Go Pack. You lead the way.
I want ice cream. Okay, Wolf Tracks. Is that what you're going to have?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Very
Ooh,
good.
there you are, dear.
Awesome.
That-
That's one scoop.
That's a lot of them.
That's a
Wolf
big one
Tracks.
scoop.
It's just for you, man.
Oh, thank you. And it's now a necklace.
Hey, you? How are you?
Hey, you.
I just had some wolf tracks.
What? Heck yeah. It's my flavor.
I know